Alright, so we're back, and we just got done talking about getting some weapons and some armor and some things that you'll need to kind of advance in the game here. Um, and now that you have those things, whether you had a buddy that helped you out, maybe they came to the game with you, or maybe you just used your starting money to purchase some items, or maybe you took things off of the donation shelves, you have your items, you have your armor, and now you want to begin gaining maybe some combat experience or things like that. Now, you don't. There's actually several guilds. Well, there's a few guilds, I should say, that have a very light combat emphasis in the game, but a great many people enjoy combat. I mean, a lot of the game is built around some sort of combat in the game, so it's a large part of the game, and it's something that a lot of people just want to do either to protect themselves or because they find it fun or whatever. So, let's go ahead and do that. Now, figuring out where to go, just like we did before, is as easy as using a Lanthropedia. There's also a list in the directions of the direction list for hunting, and this will show you the very beginning areas at or around the crossing that you can begin hunting in. Now, the very first one that you'd probably end up going to is the shipyard, because the shipyard has ship rats that are very, very easy. And a lot of people graduate maybe from those to something like goblins. But what you can do to get an idea of what you're going to be up against and how difficult it will be for you is to go to the bestiary over here at Lanthropedia, and then going down to the bestiary level list. And this basically, now all these aren't exactly precise, but they give you a good guide. There's something to go by when it comes to where you should be and what you should be hunting. So the min and the cap is basically what this is talking about, is your skill level. So if your skill levels of your offensive, your small edged or whatever is 0 or close to that, then 0 to 28. This 28 is what you can eventually hope to one day achieve if you beat up these rats forever. Because at one point these rats will stop getting you experience in your various skills, so then you'll actually have to move up. So if you were to move up from this 0 to 28 rat creature, you could eventually go to something like these goblins here. That's right in the middle there, 12 to 34. And I think there's a harder goblin, like these wildland and scavenger goblins go from 17 to 42 or 18 to 60. And like I said, this is just like a a basis to go by. This isn't to say that if you have 17 ranks in a skill you'll be totally untouched by them. This is the lowest end that you can hope to achieve, actually maybe standing up to these guys. But it just gives you a good idea. You can also click on each of these creatures at this website, and it'll kind of tell you, like, it'll give you maybe a little picture, and it'll tell you a little bit about them, what people have found about them. Hard cap is just indicating that 55 is the absolute most that you can get in something like shield, evasion, parry, defending armor. So it also mentions if they're skinnable, they have coins, boxes, and things. So once you found a creature that you're going to fight with, like here we can go to the ship rats. So we'll do the shipyard 20. And we'll go ahead and head down there real quick. Now this is going to be a little weird for me just because I am an empath, so I can't actually attack anything without facing some sort of damage. The shipyard here is on the map, so like I said before, I kind of understand the area a little bit, so I can kind of navigate around without using the map here. But here you can see that there's a rat there, and he's going to come at me and try and beat me up. I'm going to go ahead and type stance in just so I can make sure that I'm actually defending against it using my armor and my skills here. So I am using my evasion skills, and I am using my shield, and I can always type in inventory or INV armor to see what sort of armor I'm wearing. So I am wearing a shield. I'm wearing my plate here. I wear all kinds of stuff just because I like to train a lot of armors. That's kind of what I was talking about before, how you can get as deep into this training as you want. If you want to train every type of armor, then you can train every type of armor. If you want to train every type of weapon, you can train every type of weapon. So now there's 3 ship rats, and they're coming at me, and they're bouncing off of my shield here, mostly because my shield skill is pretty far above them. Like if I type, my EXP for shield, my shield ranks are at 88, which, in the grand scheme of things is not much at all, but against rats it's plenty. So they're doing this, and one thing that you'll notice is the advancement in this game. There's ranges, essentially. There's an advancement system where something starts at usually things start at a range, and then they go to pole range, which is, you can imagine something like a halberd or a long spear being able to attack these pole weapons, essentially. And if you do appraise the weapons, they'll tell you if they're pole weapons or not, and then melee range. So now that they're at melee range, they're all coming at me, and now you can start doing your attacks that you might have, and pretty much most of the attacks are pretty self-explanatory. I mean, you could slice, you could jab, and do things like that. You could also just click attack, which I don't want to do because, like I said, if I damage them, bad things will happen. But there's other things that I can do, brawling-wise, like I can bob, or I can weave, or I can shove them. There we are. Or I can shove them, and I can do that sort of thing. So when you kill these guys, you can also skin them. They'll leave pelts behind, and you can skin them. And I'll pause here for a second and see if I can get them to kill each other with some skills I have, and see if we can do that. Alright, so rather than wait forever for the rats to kill one another, I went over here to something that I can actually fight, which is these origami creatures. Now, these guys here are constructs, so they're actually something that empaths can attack. So while I'm here, I'll just show you some of the commands, like attack here. Well, for me, I have to turn on my brawling. But, my attacks here, you just type attack, and it will automatically do something, whether it's bobbing or clawing or whatever have you. And it'll tell you what kind of hits you're getting. So, if I want to use a weapon here, let's say, I don't think I ever use my hammer in melee, but we'll go ahead and use that. If I was to use something like this and I hit attack, you can see here that my heavy blunt skill, which is shortened to HB, and I don't really use very much because it's 16, is starting to go up. So if I beat this creature down here, which given the skill would normally take a little bit, using attack or whatever have you, like I said, you can use jab, or you can use swing, or you can use things like that. Each one does something a little different. Like jab is for increasing your balance. Swing is a much harder blow that really decreases like your fatigue and things of that nature. So you can see here that I'm up to this 4 here is just telling me how far in experience I have gained until I max out, and then I have to rest and regain that experience. So right now I'm at 5 of 34. So being that we're not really getting anywhere too fast, let's just throw the hammer a couple times and see if we can just kind of beat him to death that way. You'll notice here one of the skills that we have is also the HT, or the heavy thrown, which is something that I'm a little bit more experienced in. So we'll just throw this thing a couple of times and maybe take this guy out. You'll notice as well that, but just by hitting my up key, or my up arrow I should say, in the arrow section, I can actually get to the things that I've already typed in. So I don't have to worry about typing, like getting my hammer and throwing it over and over and over again. I can just hit those keys there and do that. So let's go ahead and throw this 1 or 2 more times here, and hopefully this guy will be at the end. Alright, so right here, it says that it stops moving, and now it appears dead on the screen. So now that it's dead, we'll pick up our hammer, and if it was skinnable, we could go ahead and skin it, but obviously this creature can't be skinned, and you want to make sure that you have a blade of some sort, not a hammer, to try and skin something. I happen to have a skinning utensil that I'm wearing on my wrist that I managed to pick up. You can get one that are belt worn, or you can just use something in your hand, like a dagger or something like that as well. But what we're going to do here is use the loot command. And there's a very robust loot system I think if you typed in loot help, it'll tell you all the different loot verbs that you can use. Like if you just want to get coins and gems and items and not boxes, you could do treasure. I just do loot. For the most part, I do look for boxes so I can work on my trap skills and everything like that, my locksmithing. And loot just defaults to loot all. So you'll notice that although we couldn't skin this thing, it did drop some bronze and copper coins. So, we can just go ahead and get coin, and we'll press the up key to go ahead and enter that in twice, and we'll pick up those coins there. So that was just a real quick tutorial on, like I said, just getting out there, getting into a combat area. Obviously, like I said, rats or goblins, once you get used to those guys, and by the time you've been in combat for a while and things are swinging at you and you're doing your thing, you'll probably know what to do. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I will continue with some future tutorials, getting a little bit more involved into using magic and the like. Alright guys, I'll see you then.